All right, welcome back to our next dog training video. Today, we're going to talk about something that maybe doesn't seem like it's directly related to training, but oh, how important it actually is. Today, what we're going to talk about is how do you have a healthy puppy? Now, at Three Ring Kennels, we are adamant that when you take a puppy home, that you should have a relationship with a veterinarian that you trust, that is going to guide you into keeping your puppy healthy. And we absolutely, you should do what your veterinarian says. If you trust them and you like your veterinarian, you should stick with that veterinarian. Most people have a long running relationship with their vet. Um, do what your vet says. What I wanted to talk about in here is kind of some basic overview of some things you can do at home and what we do to make sure that we're providing a healthy puppy. Now, first off, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to provide Aries with his vaccination. Aries is 3 months old, and so I am going to vaccinate him um, because he is due for his next round of shots. Now, there is a little bit of um, discussion on this topic about when to vaccinate puppies and what vaccinations should be done. The truth is that there are some things that are pretty absolute and some things that are going to be definitely regional. Now, we vaccinate our puppies at 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 3 months, and 4 months. And we give 4 rounds of the usual puppy vaccine. Now, the puppy vaccine that we give is Vanguard, which covers for multiple different diseases. In fact, it covers 5 different diseases. And the idea is that we are trying to use a tiny bit of prevention to prevent something disastrous. Now, the diseases that we fear that these are trying to protect us from, most of them are absolutely debilitating and will be fatal if they are not treated. Hands down, the one we fear the most is parvo. Now, if you do not know what parvovirus is, you should do a little bit of research, a little bit of internet research on this, or talk to your veterinarian. Better yet, talk to your vet and ask them some tips on how to keep the pup from getting parvo. Here are the things that we do to help keep your dog healthy. First and foremost, don't take your dog somewhere where there are unvaccinated dogs. Do not take a puppy to a dog park, for example. That is a bad idea. There are way too many things that can affect a young dog. Um, don't take your puppy. So if you go to the pet store like PetSmart or Petco or something like that, if we take a puppy there, we take the puppy in, but we carry it. We don't set it on the ground. Whenever here at the kennel, whenever someone brings a dog in, they have to show that proof that the dog was vaccinated. So we are trying to make sure that a dog does not carry something that might make a puppy sick. The reason for all of this is because puppies are born with an incomplete immune system. They're born effectively premature. They have a very weak immune system, and so they're highly susceptible to lots of different diseases that an adult dog would not even affect them or just shrug off quickly. It could kill a young puppy. So we want to make sure that our young pups are kept safe and they are kept isolated, or I don't want to say isolated, but kept, and a little bit of prevention can go a long way. Now, vaccination schedules are important. We also want to consider some other things. For example, microchipping is a great important health thing you can do. Microchipping is a thing where a small pill size microchip is injected directly under the skin subcutaneously. And that microchip will serve as identification for your puppy for his whole life. We microchip every puppy we sell here at Three Ring Kennels. Another thing to think about is to frequently do minor inspections of your dog. Things that you might want to look at in particular are the puppy's teeth. So young puppies, especially like Aries here, grow teeth very quickly, and they will go through a heavy teething phase. From about 4.5 months to about 6 months, they will be teething very heavily, and their mouth is likely to be sore. Occasionally, a pup, especially pups that play rough or are pretty high drive will break a tooth. If they break off a canine tooth, that can cause them a lot of discomfort. But just keeping an eye on them and looking at their behavior can tell you a lot. Really, the thing that is the most useful in diagnosing a dog is to diagnose their behavior. If they suddenly change their behavior, odds are something is wrong. A puppy should be energetic and happy and playful, and if for some reason he becomes lethargic and doesn't want to do stuff, odds are something is wrong. So we have the immediate health that we need to consider, and we like to think through about the first 4 months of their life is when we get those first vaccinations done. Once we get past that point, we're probably in pretty good shape. During that time, it's also useful, you're going to get comfy here, it's also useful to keep an eye on their stool. If they have a stool that comes out that's soft or has mucus or blood, that can be a strong indication of something wrong. Very frequently, those are created from parasites like Giardia or Coccidia or worms, which can all be prevented with some good hygiene and some good through your vet, some simple prescriptions. Very, very common for a puppy to pick up some of those parasites and simply need a little bit of meds to get them cleaned out. So don't feel bad if that happens. Again, they have a weak immune system and they don't fight those things off nearly as well as big dogs. So we have the immediate health, but we also want to consider the genetic health of the dog. When you're thinking about genetic health, there are lots of things that we can do to identify dogs that are genetically healthy. There may be things that cannot be seen about the dog that might give us an indication that they're not as healthy as another one. One of the things that we look at, of course, are back here are the hips. Now, when we look at hips, especially for every dog that we breed here at Three Ring Kennels, we evaluate their hips to make sure that they do not have what we call dysplasia. Dysplasia means a poor fit of the hip into the ball of the femur into the socket of the hip of the pelvis, right? And if there is dysplasia, it means it doesn't fit in there very well. Something is wrong. Hip dysplasia leads to osteoarthritis, which is what causes dogs pain and discomfort, and obviously they can't perform. Clearly, we would never want to breed a dog that has a known hip problem. We also evaluate the dog's elbows. We evaluate the dog's eyes. There are many genetic tests we do when evaluating a dog. All of these are done for us here at Three Ring Kennels for our breeding prospects to make sure that they don't have any negative traits that are passed on to their offspring. Now, it may be helpful for you to do that as well, even if you're not interested in breeding, because it can give you some reassurance that there may or may not be something wrong with your pup if there is an issue with the genetic health. Another thing that we want to take a look at are genetic diseases. So, for example, we now know that in the Labrador breed, there are many, many genetic diseases that plague the breed. That's the bad news. The good news is it's very easy to test and screen for these diseases and make sure that the pup does not have those. Aries, for example, has been tested against several diseases and has been shown to be clear of all of the genes that can produce that disease. This is an important identifier when we're taking a look at a young dog to determine if he is a potential candidate for stud service and for breeding in the future. Aries, having a clean genetic bill of health, gives us strong confidence that he has the potential to be a breeding dog. He at least has the right genetic health to continue on with this process. Now, other genetic tests, things that might be useful to know about Labradors in particular are colors. Aries is a red Labrador or a dark yellow. This is an important piece of information for breeding to know what kind of offspring could he make, what color of offspring. Knowing that he is a yellow dog, obviously he is capable of producing yellow puppies. He also has what we see here, the very classic black nose and black eyes, which is part of what we call the breed standard, that they should have that black trim on their nose and their eyes and their pads, and even his belly has gotten black already by 3 months old. They should have black skin. Yellow Labradors should have black skin. That's part of the AKC breed standard. Now, another thing that we might want to know is whether or not they carry any other colors. Labradors come in only 3 colors. Proper Labradors are in 3 colors. That is black, yellow, and brown. Aries here is a very dark shade of yellow. Yellow can actually range from a light cream color to a red color. If you watch that video of Aries getting in the water, his half brother Hawkeye is a very light yellow. And when you see them right next to each other, it's a very stark contrast. But yellow has a wide range. But another thing we might want to know is if they carry a different color. So Aries, for example, here being a yellow dog means that he carries yellow, which is a recessive color. Now, it's also important to note whether or not the dog has any other hidden colors. So, for example, Aries has been tested and shown that his genes, he does not carry the chocolate gene. There's important rules for how we breed dogs that carry both the yellow and chocolate gene. And that's how we can get into some trouble with producing dogs that have funny colored noses. We try not to do that. That's actually, the details on that go a long ways. We're not going to get into that. But the point is, all of this information is easily available simply by doing a little cheek swab. You can even do this at home. There are kits that you can order online to find out if you have any of these diseases, and you can find out this information ahead of time. If you have a pup that came from us at Three Ring Kennels, we publish all of this information about the parents so that you can have that information. In many cases, the information on the parents will give you the answer for what is going on with the puppy. If you got your pup from another breeder, simply contact your breeder or check the OFA website or other sources to see if you can get information on the genetic health of the parents. Will give you great insight as to the genetic health of your pup. But the bottom line is we want to make sure that we keep our puppy as healthy as possible so we can have a long, good life.